Riddle number 1. Who is guilty? Sherlock Holmes was working on a tricky case. One day he vanished. The only thing John Watson found on his desk was an encrypted note. It looked like this: D plus 1, L plus 1, H plus 1, K plus 1, X plus 1. He knew Sherlock had 3 suspects: David, Susan, and Emily. Who was behind the disappearance of the famous detective? John Watson cracked the code. D plus 1 equals E, L plus 1 equals M, and so on. Emily knew where Sherlock was. 2. Generous grandfather. Jason and his grandfather were very close. They spent a lot of time together. Their favorite entertainment was to crack detective riddles. Unfortunately, the elderly man passed away unexpectedly. His lawyer informed the relatives that the grandfather had hidden all his money, and he was a wealthy man. The one who would find it would get all the inheritance. Jason realized the grandfather wanted him to get everything. He ran to his office and soon found out where to look for the money. Can you figure it out? There's a cross on the picture with an apple tree that's hanging on the wall. Jason has to look for the money there. 3. The second riddle. When Jason reached the tree, he found a small box. Inside there was a note with a rebus puzzle. After looking at it for a while, the guy darted off. Where did he run? The rebus says back door. That's where Jason headed. There, under the stairs, he found another box with a key to a bank safe deposit box inside. 4. East and West. The king's 2 most trusted bodyguards created a method of keeping their boss safe. With the monarch between them, they were going to stand looking in the opposite directions. One would face the west and the other the east. At the same time, without using any reflective surfaces, they would both see the king clearly. How would they do it? They would be facing each other. 5. Attacked neighbor. Detective Oliver Norton was leaving for work in the morning when he saw a man running out of his neighbor's house. He stopped the guy, who said his name was Paul. He came to visit his colleague about 30 minutes ago and saw him fighting with a man. The door was locked and Paul couldn't get inside to help. While he was trying to find the way to enter the house, the criminal left. Paul entered and saw his colleague lying on the kitchen floor, unconscious. Oliver and Paul came into the house. Nothing seemed to be out of the ordinary, but after looking around the kitchen, the detective arrested the man. Why? Paul was the one to attack Oliver's neighbor. If his words had been true, fried eggs would have been burned after 30 minutes of cooking. 6. Diving disaster. You're a scuba diver who's exploring the seafloor on your own. After visiting one cave after another, you find out you've lost your way. You start panicking because you have barely enough oxygen to make it back to the surface. Suddenly, you see the cave you're in has 3 exits, but one of them is guarded by 3 giant jellyfish, the second by electric eels, and in the third opening, there are huge whale sharks. Which passage should you opt for? Choose the exit guarded by whale sharks. They get their food by filtering water and are totally harmless to people. 7. Stolen documents. At 11 a.m., Liam got a call from his friend, the owner of a law firm. The man was in distress. A very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on the desk the evening before, but nowhere to be found in the morning. Liam immediately went there to question the employees. In no time, he had 3 suspects. Elijah said he had spent the previous evening at the movies. Mason had taken his girlfriend to dinner, and Evelyn had visited an art gallery. It didn't take Liam long to understand who was lying. It was Elijah. His ticket wasn't torn. 8. Real or fake? Kevin decided to visit his elderly aunt he hadn't seen for several months. But when he got to her house, he saw 2 men wearing construction worker uniforms. They were moving out some furniture. What are you doing here?" Kevin asked. "Miss Saunders hired us to help her get rid of old furniture. We're from Pick and Carry Transport Company," one of the men answered. He sounded sincere, but Kevin felt there was something wrong about the whole situation. Suddenly, he realized the men were thieves. How did he understand it? There was no company van near the aunt's house, just a dark car with tinted windows. Plus, why were the men wearing construction worker uniforms if they were movers? 9. Anxious wife. Ryan got into a car accident. He was badly injured and lost his memory. The man was rushed to a hospital. When he came around in his room, he saw 3 young women near his bed. The doctor informed them Ryan had to stay there for at least a week. Unfortunately, the poor man couldn't remember who the women were. Each of them claimed to be his wife. "Sweetheart, but what if you never remember me?" the woman on the left was crying. "Honey, I'm so worried. Let's go home and I'll take care of you," the one in the middle exclaimed. The girl on the right was furious. "They're trying to steal you from me. Let's leave this place right away." Which lady is the man's wife? The woman on the left was crying. She's the only one who's worried. The other 2 want to take Ryan away from the hospital, but he's injured and needs medical care. 10. Gas station accident. Brian was driving home late in the evening when he noticed he was running out of gas. He stopped by at a gas station to fill the gas tank and buy some snacks. When he came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Brian paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. 11. Trapped in a well. Eric was a famous detective. Once he was investigating a case and found some crucial evidence. The next morning, he woke up in a well. It was old, deep, but luckily not filled with water. On the flip side, there was no way he could get out to the surface. Suddenly, Eric saw his main suspect's face at the top of the well. "You won't live long enough to rat me out," the man shouted. And then the detective felt soil falling on his head. The criminal was going to bury him alive. But in an hour, Eric was already out of the well and running away. How did he manage to get out? The detective started to shake off and tamp down the soil that was falling into the well. He was getting closer and closer to the surface until he managed to jump out and run away. 12. Winter escape. Mark and Liza had been dating for 2 years. One day, the guy came to his girlfriend's house. He was going to propose to her. But when he made it there, he found Liza with another man. Mark was furious. The other guy got scared and rushed out of the house. Liza was shouting it was his brother, but Mark knew better. Unfortunately, he hadn't seen the guy's face clearly. When he ran outside, he saw 3 men. Which one is Liza's lover? It's the guy on the left. It's freezing outside, and the other two guys have red cheeks and noses. But the third guy's face is pale because he just left a warm house. 13. A bus driver. A bus driver is heading down the road from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. It's been a long day and he's worn out. He yawns several times and ignores a stop sign. A police car is passing by right at this moment. The officers inside see the driver turning the wrong way onto a one-way street. But they don't arrest him. Why? The man's walking, not driving a bus. 14. A mysterious man. A man and a woman are driving along a road at breakneck speed. Suddenly, the man pulls the car over. He tells the woman he'll be right back and sprints into a large building. The car doors are locked, all the windows are up. But when the man returns, he finds the woman unconscious. There's also a stranger in the car with her. Surprisingly, instead of pulling him out of the car, the man hugs him. Who is the stranger and how did he enter the car? The woman was in labor, and the man was driving her to a hospital. By the time he returned with a doctor, the woman had already given birth and passed out from exhaustion. The stranger in the car was the man's son. Well, that's a happy ending. Hey, Justin's dream is about to come true. He's a trainee at the police department. To become a real detective, though, he has to pass a challenge. It consists of the hardest detective riddles. And here's the first one. The police had been looking for Kyle for 2 days. The guy went hiking and never came back. Finally, he was found. Someone had hit him on the head and left him lying in the bushes. Kyle only managed to say, "Friend," in a weak voice and lost consciousness. The police officers had 3 suspects, all of them Kyle's friends. Zachary said he'd spend these last days at work getting ready for a conference. Jesse told the detectives he'd sprained his ankle and had been in bed for 4 days. And Billy explained he'd been to New York for business. The man even showed the police officers his boarding pass. Who's behind the accident with Kyle? Justin is an attentive guy. He immediately noticed that Billy had showed just 1 boarding pass. Then how did he get back from New York? His story sounds fishy. Now, Justin is given a note with several numbers on it. He has to figure out the missing one. It's the code to the safe with the evidence. He needs to crack the next case. 53653. It didn't take Justin long to understand the missing number is 7. He needed to get subsequent 536 and 537. The safe's open. Justin sees a folder with the case he needs to solve next. Mr. White, a rich businessman, disappeared from his bedroom, but he managed to leave a note. It read, the 1st of July, the 4th of January, the 1st of December, the 8th of February. The police questioned the people who were in the house at that time. Judy, Mr. White's wife, said, "I'm shocked. My husband was always so careful. Sadly, I don't know anything. I was away staying at my parents'." Logan, Mr. White's secretary, told the police he had been working on the report for his boss and hadn't left his study. And Rose, Mr. White's daughter, answered, "I was having guests. We didn't leave my room." The case is still unsolved. Can Justin crack it? The one behind Mr. White's disappearance is his wife. The 1st of July means the letter J, the 4th of January, U, the 1st of December, D, and the 8th of February, Y. Altogether, it's Judy. The next day, Justin was questioning Mary, a suspect in a tricky smuggling case. The girl refused to talk. At some moment, she shouted, "Right now, I'd drown my phone in this cup filled with coffee and you'll never find out the truth." But Justin was totally unbothered by her threat. Why? The cup was filled with coffee beans. They would do no harm to the gadget. A shoe shiner was arrested and taken to the police station where Justin worked. The man was shouting he was an honest person. He cleaned people's shoes for free. His clients paid him of their own will. But Justin soon realized which trick the shoe shiner used. The man cleaned one shoe for free. Nobody wanted to look untidy in just one clean shoe, and paid him for shining the other one. Once, Justin's boss called his wife and told her he'd come back home at 8 o'clock. They had no plans for the evening whatsoever. The man was at home almost on time, at 5 minutes past 8. But his wife was furious. The boss was confused. When he came to work the next day, he asked Justin to explain to him why his wife had been so angry. Justin told his boss, "Well, your wife expected you to come home at 8 p.m., but you came at 8 in the morning." Justin was sent to patrol the streets. While walking, he saw a weird picture. A man went out of a house with a bucket of water, shouted, and poured this water on the sidewalk. It took Justin some time to figure out why he had done it. The man had been planning to wash his car, but while he was away, it got stolen. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank's security guards had helped the criminals, and Justin had to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard some shouting and rushed there, but by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been drinking a cup of coffee at that moment and hadn't even heard anything. And the third guard said that he had run after the thieves, but he had to lace his boot. Without a second thought, he crouched near an emergency exit. At that very moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he came back, the criminals had been gone. Justin immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third security guard. All emergency doors open outwards for safety reasons. Justin's next suspect was a young woman. The guy hadn't seen her yet, but he had her photo. When he was looking at this picture, he felt something was wrong, but couldn't figure out what exactly. Then, all of a sudden, it dawned on him. What did Justin realize? The girl was inside the house, but the door was blocked from the outside. How did she get in and out of the house? Through the second-floor window? Unlikely. A notorious criminal escaped from a 150-foot tower. Someone had managed to get him a pair of scissors and a rope. Justin found out that the rope was just 75 feet long, and the criminal had cut it in the middle. Now, the future detective needs to understand how it helped the man get away. The criminal indeed cut the rope in the middle, but not across. He made the cut along the rope, tied its 2 parts together, and got down to the ground without any problems. A new case for Justin. Martin bought a car in September, and now, just a month later, it's stolen. All 4 suspects are Martin's friends. The crime happened at 10 p.m. on Wednesday. At that time, Alan was playing badminton in the park. Natalie was driving home from work. Roy took his cat for a walk, and Rose was doing some grocery shopping. Who was behind the car theft? Alan. It was October. At 10 p.m., it would be too dark to play badminton. An important document is missing, and Justin has to find it before his boss comes back from his vacation. The guy had found out only 3 people could take the document. At the moment when the papers disappeared, Randy was in his office, analyzing a new case. Johnny was taking a shower before his regular gym workout, and Kayla was at her firearms training. Who took the document? It was Johnny. Who takes a shower before a workout? Airport authorities suspected a gold smuggler was going to fly out from their airport. Justin was sent there to help. The suspect was stopped at the customs. But try as they might, security officers couldn't find anything suspicious in his suitcase, just some personal belongings. They had to let the man go. But once he picked up his suitcase and started to walk away, Justin realized the man did have the gold. How did he understand it? There were just a few things in the suitcase, meaning the man had to carry it with ease. But he used both his hands to handle it. It means there must be something heavy hidden inside. Justin finished his working day and decided to drop by his favorite coffee shop. But while he was ordering his cappuccino, someone took his wallet. He only saw a man's retreating figure. Justin ran after him, but the man was already driving away in a black car. Our future detective jumped in his own car and started to follow him. He couldn't drive too fast since it was raining. In 10 minutes, the black car disappeared around the corner. When Justin got there, he saw 3 similar black cars parked in front of the apartment building. It didn't take him long to understand which car belonged to the thief. How did he find it out if he didn't see the man's license? The ground under the first and third cars is dry, but beneath the second car it's wet. It means its owner has just arrived. A man came to the police station and Justin was sent to talk to him. He claimed he had been sold a fake coin. The seller told him it was ancient and the man believed him. But when he came home, he realized he had been fooled. Justin threw just one glance at the coin and agreed with the man. Why? The coin had a 15 BCE mark on it, but people who lived at that time couldn't know it was before the current era. Hey, dreams do come true. Justin's probation period is over and he's now a real detective.